Welcome back to the show that, believe it or not, is less annoying than your typical ASMR video. This is Wrestling with Egos. However, you may be listening to us, whether it's right here on the YouTubes or on any of our podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor Podcast, Intergalactic Radio. Thank you guys so much for making us a part of your wrestling knowledge for the week. I'm Patrick, joined as always by the other two members of our undisputed era, Isaac and Brian. Boys, what's good? Boom.
What's good is it's the holiday season.
Oh God! Yet again.
Please take note of the Christmas tree over my shoulder. It's
very much take note of the Christmas tree. So, yeah.
We're good. But yeah, please. I hope that everyone's computers and TVs and glass aren't breaking from all that singing. Just saying.
I thought that was pretty tasteful. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Yeah, I did too. And yes, it is the holiday season. We are in the beginnings of December, and a lot of stuff going on. Not only because it's the holidays and it's the most wonderful time of the year, as the song goes, but also a lot of things going on in wrestling. You got winter is coming here in a couple of weeks. You've got day one on January 1st, which I still say is the dumbest time of the year to do a friggin' wrestling pay-per-view, because nobody's going to give two rats' asses about it, especially if your team is in the college football playoffs. And 2 weeks from right now, not only is there going to be AEW's Winter is Coming, but it will be the third annual Iggy Awards, hosted by your boy, Mr. Brian Kriego.
Looking forward to it. It's become a tradition unlike any other, ladies and gents, and this is where you come in, because we're pretty smart, as it were, when it comes to handing out these wrestling awards, but there's bound to be some things that we forget. So join the conversation, Wrestling X Egos, at Wrestling X Egos on Twitter. You can tweet at all of us. Our contacts are coming across the screen. You can email the show, wrestlingwithegos@gmail.com. Quick rundown of the categories. I'll try to do it really fast. We always hand out a match of the year, but this year we're breaking it into two components because AEW have been putting in that work. They get a category all to themselves, because let's be honest, if they don't, it wouldn't be pretty fair, now would it?
No, let's be honest. If we were doing it with just match of the year, we would have 7 nominees and 6 of them would be AEW.
And there'd be a New Japan match or something like that. And then we always do men's and women's wrestler of the year. We do a tag team of the year, feud of the year, and let's not forget the Nia Jax Memorial Worst Wrestler of the Year award. We're looking forward to that one.
Which, honestly and truly, I think being the fact that she's been released, we might retire that one this year. We might give it to somebody and then just be like, yeah, okay. Because, we pick on Nia enough. We gave it to Ricky. We gave it to Ricky freaking Starks last year. Yeah. But you know what? I don't believe in kicking someone while they're down. So that one might get thrown out this year. But plenty of off the wall, funny, sarcastic awards will be given out along with the serious ones.
Because we could stand here in our starched white shirts and our black ties and hand out the serious awards and the Academy Award for Best Picture goes to. But we're not like that. We want to give you a little fun. But tonight, what it's all about for us, there are some burning questions on our minds that keep us up at night and give us the heebie-jeebies, as it were. And we're going to do our best to answer those burning questions over the course of the next hour or so. So, gentlemen, would you like me to pose the first burning question to you from the Wrestling with Egos Burning Questions Cauldron?
So let me ask you a burning question about these burning questions first, sir. Which circle of hell are these burning questions coming
from? I think they're all pretty good questions. I mean, they're not like...
But I figured an educated man like yourself would have read the Divine Comedy, so therefore you would know what circle of hell.
The ninth circle of hell is reserved for people who go in the outdoor. If the door says do not enter, you don't go in it. Okay? I'm glad you brought that up because this has been on my mind for a hell of months now. Get your head out of your butt, stop looking at your cell phone, and come in the indoor.
Hashtag rant mode on.
Well, I'm done. I don't. We're not going to take up the whole show ranting about that, but that's one of my lines. The
Ooh.
ninth circle of hell is reserved for people who walk in the outdoor.
I can't argue that.
Man.
But
in the interest of, fact checking and all that, these probably come from the fourth circle of hell, because it's not like they're not like, oh my God, the wrestling industry is crumbling at our feet kind of thing. But there's some questions that need to be answered, and
Yes, very
we're
much.
actually going to start tonight with WWE. We don't do that a lot lately because they don't have anything worth starting with a lot. But
this might be one of the few topics in WWE that is always worth discussing.
I'm not going to lead you in any one direction. I want to hear both of your thoughts about this before I give you mine. First burning question: is it time for WWE to end the Universal Championship reign of Roman Reigns, however they choose to do it?
Isaac, you're going first on this one, if you don't mind.
So I'm up first, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. It's not time yet. And I say that because I believe they are going to wait. They wouldn't drop it on day one because that'd be stupid. No one's going to be watching. They're going to wait till WrestleMania. They wouldn't drop it. They wouldn't drop at the Royal Rumble because I think that's just dumb as all can be. Roman's going to keep this title for a very long time. If he doesn't drop it at WrestleMania, then he's going to keep it for another year. And the problem with that is they don't have 30 guys that can be in the Rumble right now after they keep, letting people go left and right. So that's even if they have anybody left. Roman's going to smash him. He's going to smash this person. He doesn't have anyone that he generally can have a feud with that we can legitimately sit here and say, you know what, he can drop it to this person other than Drew McIntyre. And that's the only thing I look at like this. And they teased Drew being in the Battle Royal last week because they knew that he would win it, but they're not going to do that right now. They're going to save that for a later day, later on down the line. And that's even if they have anybody left. Do I think that he's going to keep it for a while? Yeah. I said this a couple days ago. They're going to keep it on him until Braun Breaker comes up from NXT in 2 years, and then he might drop it to him because that's the only other thing I can see them doing right now. Am I wrong? Probably am. But I'm sitting here thinking there's no one else that's on that level that they're going to drop the belt to. Not this time.
All right. So first off, Roman's going to have the title for a while, but he's not going to have it that long for Braun Breaker to run through NXT and then make the main roster and run through those guys to be able to get to Roman. We're not playing that kind of a long game with WWE for two reasons. Number one, WWE fans collectively have proven over the course of the last decade to have not that long of an attention span. You're already getting to the point where people are starting to get sick of Roman and the bloodline. But so I will answer your burning question with a burning question of my own. Who would they drop it? Who would they have him drop it to? That makes sense. Ding.
You don't want me to answer that question.
Yes, I do. Who?
Okay, here's the thing. And Patrick, you kind of hinted at this. Isaac, I understand where both of you are coming from on it. It's clear that because of insert reason here, you're not getting Roman and The Rock. Roman and Brock is a retread, even though the roles are reversed now because Brock is the face, supposedly, and Roman is the heel. But I don't know that is necessarily interesting in a draw. The babyface intellectual savior of the wrestling masses who comes on this show all of the time and pleads with WWE to make better use of all the talent they have. I can rattle off about 6 guys right now that if you invested some time in them, it would make sense. And Cesaro was number 1 on that list.
Brian, you told me that I didn't want you to answer this question. So are you going to answer it? Because so far you haven't.
I personally cannot wait for as long as you guys apparently want me to wait for somebody to step up to Roman. If it's Brock, if Brock is the answer, that is just boring as hell to me. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. But I sense even Paul Heyman, as a master storyteller like he is starting to get a little bit stale. And Roman's had it since last summer.
Right.
That is, we're going on a year and a half now.
Okay.
And I am putting the argument forward that it's at the detriment of the rest of the roster.
Okay.
All of the other title reigns, even when Cena had it for all that time and Punk had it for all that time, you had a bunch of different people coming at them.
Brian,
back in the Attitude Era, you had let me keep going here because I'm on a roll. Back in the Attitude,
you've been on a roll.
Yeah. Back in the Attitude Era, you had Rock, Undertaker, Angle, Triple H, etc. All, hot potatoing it, call it that if you want, but they were appointment television because you didn't know what was going to happen. You even were able to bring in mid-card guys like Rikishi into the mix and stuff like that. But now you have a story writing strategy where it's for an audience of one and it's for basically a roster of one.
So that look, I got to be devil's advocate on that. So that's new?
No, well, but it's I won't say it's new, but I'll say it's in significant relief now. The releases shine a harsh light on what you have and don't have. The people that are still languishing in the outer fringes of Raw and SmackDown every week in the title picture, not doing anything. I'll just give you 3 names that I would love if they package them in a way that they could make a sensible run at Roman. Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens. Because all 3 of them, I think, in the next year could be walking out the door. And making an investment in any one of those 3 people who legitimately could take down Roman for a lot of different reasons. Cesaro's got the power game. We know how powerful he is. Shinsuke could wrestle a New Japan match if they would just let him. And I know that's the hang-up with Shinsuke. They won't let him wrestle a New Japan match anymore. And Kevin Owens has already proven that he will go through hell and high water to get a shot at Roman Reigns. I'm not saying that any one of them are going to happen, but those to me are fresher than trotting up Brock versus Roman again.
All right.
I just don't understand. Because to me, it just feels stale. And that's why I brought the question up.
All right. Well, I'm glad you did. By the way, but due to time constraints, after this topic, we're gonna have to go ahead and wrap the show up because Brian.
That'd be a breath of fresh air the way you guys bogart my time all the time. So
Hey, that's why I let you go. I'm like, dude, this is the longest run B's ever gone on. Hell yes.
So, I mean, 2021's coming to a close, boys and girls. I got to get that stuff in because I can see by the clock on the wall there's a fly. So
he's like Devon when the Dudleys got inducted into the Hall of Fame. It says one time he's going to be funny.
Exactly.
Anyway, I wasn't expecting you to go that long because you did insinuate in pre-show that you wanted to go last on this, and I just asked a question and you went off. So unfortunately, I got to go last now. So getting back to my initial question.
Did I answer it?
Yeah, you did. You gave me 3 names.
Okay.
You did give me 3 names. My whole argument is nobody on SmackDown is built up enough to take it off him now. Nobody.
What else do we have to do then? Let's do it.
Is this my time? Is this my time?
Yes.
My time. My time is now.
Wow.
You can't see me. My time is now. It's a franchise, but I'm shining now. You can't see me. My time is now.
Isaac,
Dramatic.
he's rapping. He's
Yes.
speech rapping.
No, I was a dramatic,
Word.
dramatic reading of John Cena's theme song. Thank you very much. Anyway, moving on. There is nobody on SmackDown that's built up enough that has the momentum to take the title off of Roman, and it actually makes sense. Roman has had a stranglehold on that title for well over a year, and at this point, beating him is conquering a titan. You can't just have, Joe Blow come off the streets and get a WWE contract and in 3 weeks beat Roman. That's it. To me, don't give me time on this. I love Cesaro. I love Nakamura. I love Kevin Owens. Giving them the title within, say, the next 6 weeks makes as much sense as giving Santino Marella the Intercontinental title the night he debuted, which, by the way, happened. None of it makes sense. You cannot take the Universal title off of Roman right now. To piggyback off of something Isaac said, the earliest you can do it is WrestleMania. And it can't be The Rock. And it can't be Lesnar unless Lesnar's going to be in the ring every freaking night, which it's not going to happen.
No.
You have to build someone up, and you have to build up a massive baby face. There's only one guy potentially that they could build up to that, and that is Drew. But Drew ain't there yet. He was there a year ago when he was on Raw, but after he lost at Mania to Lashley, he kind of got back into the shuffle. So right now, no, you cannot do it, because that would be yet another stupid, suicidal move on WWE's part. Now, the 3 names you mentioned, Nakamura, Owens, Cesaro. As much as I love all 3 of them, I can give you massive reasons for each one of them why they will never sniff the Universal title, especially as long as Roman Reigns has it. Number 1, Cesaro. For whatever freaking reason under God's hot sun, Vince McMahon does not get him. Maybe, and while everybody in the entire world sees Vince as being stupid in this, which, let's be honest, we all think he is, Vince McMahon clearly does not see it. Kind of use a comparison, but not as insane. I saw something on Twitter earlier today, and someone was talking about how great of a run the alpha male Monty Brown had in TNA, like the early stages of TNA, when he was challenging Jeff Jarrett for the TNA World Title, blah, 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 blah. I never got Monty. I never got Monty Brown. I'm like, okay, cool. Big black dude, athletic as hell. People talk about how he's charismatic. I don't get it. I don't get it. You can clearly see with the way that Cesaro has been booked since day freaking 1 in WWE. Vince McMahon looks at Cesaro the same way I look at Monty Brown. He sees what he is, but just doesn't get it. It doesn't click.
And maybe if we're parsing Cesaro a little bit, it's got to be the language limitations, because he knows English, but he's not charismatic on the microphone.
Yeah, you know what? He doesn't have to be. He can be a wrestling machine.
Yes.
I mean, and truth be told, you only get better on the mic by being on the mic.
On the mic.
To point out something, a year ago, you know who really sucked on the mic? 3 letters for you, boys and girls. DMD. Now she's freaking gold.
Yeah.
She is amazing on the mic. A year ago, she sucked. Guess what? You give Cesaro reps in terms of, hey, cut a promo. Hey, cut another promo. Hey, cut another promo. Oh, by the way, Claudio, have you met this guy, Paul Heyman? Paul's going to help you with your promos. Game over. But the problem is right now, we're looking for a now solution. Cesaro is not a now solution in WWE. Hang on, Brian. Let me get the other two out of the way. Nakamura. There is no way in blackest hell Vince McMahon will put either one of the world titles on a Japanese wrestler. It will never happen. I do not care how charismatic Nakamura is. I do not care how amazing in the ring he is. I do not care how awesome the package of Nakamura and Rick freaking Boogs is. It won't happen. Language barrier. That's all there is to it. Kevin Owens won't be around.
Right.
He will be gone after day one. There's no way in hell you can put the title on him. I have one word for you, Medusa.
My counter argument to all that, and we can move on to the next topic after this, because I don't think this is a topic that we need to spend 2 hours on.
Oh, we totally can at this point.
But
You think?
all of the obstacles that you just mentioned for Cesaro and Nakamura and Kevin Owens, you can overcome those obstacles if you, as a writing team and as a booker, want to put the work in. But it's just you're saying you need time to build these people up. Well, we're not going anywhere. We're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Let's invest some time in these people.
Isaac, I was doing that because you had your finger up, and I'm like, okay.
No.
Tell me, are you guys about to tell me how much you disagree with that line of thinking? I know it's not Vince's line of thinking. I know it's not Stamford, Connecticut's line of thinking, but I think this is what we're crying out for. You can be building up other people along with cementing Roman. They're not mutually exclusive.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I have a different point. Isaac, make yours.
I agree with you to a point. And they should be developing more people. They aren't doing that. Vince has been micromanaging way too much, and he can't do it anymore. That's the other problem that I have with that whole scenario. He's not bringing up other people. And if he doesn't understand you, he doesn't get you, he's about to throw you out the door. That's the other problem with that. Yes, you need to bring somebody else up, but the way that you keep bringing somebody else up, when it comes to Roman Reigns, he's just going to, as he says, he's going to smash him, and then it's done with.
All right.
It's a waste of time.
Okay, but so here's my point on this, and after this, unless there's something else catastrophic that somebody needs to say, let's move on. Otherwise, holy crap, we can go on this one all night long. So yeah, that's two people singing. So Isaac at some point. That's it. I'm just saying. You're right on one thing, Brian, that Cesaro and Nakamura can be overcome by putting the work. Mucker Father, you're looking at a company who has clearly shown their hand that they are not going to put the work in with anyone. I have two words for you. And no, it's not suck it. It's hit row. They
put in the bare minimum of work on them and then release them.
No, they didn't even work on them. They said, we're going to call you up. You do what you do, because what you do is the shit. By the way, we're going to release you. And if you didn't know, now you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
You
guys aren't telling me anything I don't already know. It's frustrating to me when.
Let me make this point, because I think you'll understand this one. You are approaching all of this as a wrestling fan that is not jaded.
Okay.
That's
yeah. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that. But I can't in good conscience say, well, Cesaro can be a world champion if WWE wants to put the work in. You were can I list a couple of things personally that will happen before WWE wants to put the work in like that on anyone?
coronavirus will be a distant memory.
Well, no.
Let's just lay our cards on the table.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I will shoot par on 18 holes. That will happen before WWE, actually wants to put the work in.
Personally attacked.
I can make 10 out of 10 free throws. I will stop speaking to my children. And last but not least, I will cheer for Alabama football. Things that will never happen. F Bama, F them refs. By the way, that was 3 intentional grounding calls. You freaking.
Oh, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Okay, reaching into the cauldron for another burning question.
Or in other words, what I think you're trying to say is, moving on.
I think we've said everything we need to say about that topic. Got it. They don't put in the work. Understood? Okay. The next burning question. I was watching Dynamite the other night, and I was behind everybody else. And Patrick, you messaged me about the final match of the evening, and you said this might not be up your alley. It's because it's a hardcore match.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be pretty interesting. And I did find it pretty interesting. Cody Rhodes and Andrade put in some work. This next burning question is about Cody Rhodes specifically.
Burning question?
Yeah. Yeah.
In case
sometimes you just fall into it, boys and girls.
You missed it, boys and girls. The finish of the match featured Cody hitting a top rope reverse suplex through a flaming freaking table. We got a flaming table on freaking cable TV, gang, and
Courtesy of Brandy.
I'm here for it.
Um,
real quick, I want to point one thing out. I was talking to RJ after I made that comment in our thread, since I knew you were behind and I wanted to talk to somebody about it. Go back and watch that. Cody was still on fire when he covered Andrade.
Yep.
And I'm laughing about it.
I don't care about personal safety. I gotta pin this sumbitch.
I'm laughing at it because I'm like, dude, that is some big ass brass balls doing that crap. Dusty probably upstairs looking down, going, "That's my boy, baby. That's my boy."
Fun time for the American dream.
Hey, going to the pay window.
Yes. Here's my question about Cody. Has he already turned heel without coming out and announcing, "Hey, I'm a heel"? Because I've noticed over the past month, he's been acting a certain way. So that's my burning question. He said, "I'm never going to turn heel," and I'm going to make the argument here in a minute that he already is one. But, gentlemen, please, have at it.
So Cody's making these references toward a heel turn. And I'm not saying this line disparagingly. I'm saying this as a comparison. I liked when they did this the last time, when it was about 10 years ago, and his name was John Cena. Cena teased doing the heel turn, then the whole Nexus thing, and John Cena never turned, despite how bad they were booing him. Cody's doing the same thing. Cody ain't going to turn heel. He won't. He will take the boost, and he will be that polarizing figure in AEW that WWE has always had. Which, by the way, I want to point something out. Look at the last two guys in WWE that have been the biggest polarizing figure in their company. Both of them became mega fucker loving, successful. Their names may or may not be John Cena and Roman Reigns. Very polarizing. Half the fans hate them. Half the fans love them. Guess what? Everybody paid money to see them. Didn't matter. Cody is going to be the same. Cody's going to be that for WWE. For AEW. Why? Can't challenge for the title. Got to do something with him, and you have to because of how talented the man is.
Just been handed this news item on the Wrestling with Egos news. Apparently Cody Rhodes is the inside man. He's under contract with WWE. What? I can let that one pass.
Okay, you know what? JR flubs him all the time.
I know, but that one was a bit egregious. You have to admit.
Yeah, I know it totally was, but you know what? Hey, I ain't perfect.
Coming from the only person on this show who never makes a mistake.
Horse.
Patrick is now inserting the gag reel of all the mistakes that Brian has made in the calendar year of 2021, and it's lengthy.
Yeah. But no, I don't.
Starting with G1.
Yeah, I don't think we're seeing a Cody heel turn. I think we're seeing, and you guys have heard me make this reference in private plenty of times. Tim Tebow was, in all of sports, is probably a very polarizing figure. You either love him, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. Guess what? You either love him or you hate him. And it's at times 50-50. Same thing. No, the fans want. Here's what will happen. We want Cody to turn. We want Cody to turn. Cody turns. Now we hate him. Now we want him to go back to face. They do. That's why John Cena never turned heel. If John Cena would have turned heel, his heel turn would have gone over as badly, if not worse, than Steve Austin's.
Right.
At WrestleMania 17. At WrestleMania 17.
And to be fair, the only reason I brought this question up was it just seems to me, and I guess it's because of recency bias. I'm watching this play out now, and I don't get callbacks to when Cena was teasing it because I don't. It's a decade ago.
Right.
Just some of the things he does, some of the extra oomph he puts into some of these moves and these tactics and these low blows and things like that, and.
Oh, and breaking out the golden shovel?
Yes, and just things like that where it's like, why are you concerned about that? But I get why you're concerned about that because you're trying to stir the pot. You're poking the bear. I get it.
Exactly. Dude, okay. And Isaac, I'm going to make this point and then it's all yours. How long have you guys known me?
A long ass time.
Long enough. How about that?
Or do I not relish the opportunity to poke the freaking bear?
Jeez, I mean, you far exceeded your quota.
Ding.
Far.
Isaac, all yours.
Thank you, and thank you, and thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No.
Here, we go back to I feel that Cody's going to stay face. And it's going to be very similar to what John Cena did on Monday Night Raw, where they specifically, he looked down on his ankle and he did a heel turn to make sure that everyone was sitting here and specifically knowing, hey, I'm turning heel. And we all know he didn't do it. No. And the problem of the thing about John Cena was at the time, he was selling merch out the wazoo +5 and everyone else. And we all know that. And he couldn't have done his Make-A-Wish, obligations that he had. And God bless the man for doing all of the things that he's done with that, not making any light of it, because it's a great thing he's been doing. But right now, Cody Rhodes is going to stay a face. It's just what he wants to do. If you love him, you love him. If you hate him, you hate him. It is what it is. It's going to be a great area, but he's not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen anytime in the future. You know, that's all I got. That's all I got, John.
He and Brandy are too charitable with their time, their money, and their efforts. And they go above and beyond to interact with wrestling fans, interact with kids that are struggling, which, by the way, Brian, I want to get serious for just a second. Yeah, my fidget toy today is the top of an Elmer Fudd toy. I just realized I was spinning that around again. I want to get serious for a moment. If you guys are on Twitter, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. But there is a girl on Twitter by the name of Jessie Davin. You can follow her at Jessie the Buckeye. She is originally a Cleveland girl. I think she lives down in Florida now. Not going into specifics, but Jessie is in the fight of her freaking life right now. And follow her, give her some love, because her reaction videos and her comments on wrestling, it's funny shit. She is a blast to follow. And I point that out because earlier in the week, Brandy Rhodes sent her flowers. Straight up sent her flowers. And a lot of wrestlers have reached out to her, giving her their support. I know Big E has, and I know several others. But that's the point that I'm trying to make with Cody and Brandy being so freaking charitable. Just like John Cena turning heel, John Cena turning heel doesn't work because John Cena is too good of a freaking dude. Cody and Brandy are too cool and too good of people to do that. I mean, there's a difference in someone like, say, Adam Cole or Britt Baker, who, by all accounts, are wonderful people, but they're already heels. They've always been heels. If you're that good of a person and you're a babyface like that, you can't turn, because there's no way to separate the real person from the character. But when you're someone like Adam Cole, Britt Baker, people like that, you can totally do it because there's a separation. Roman Reigns is the same way.
Right.
I mean, Roman is from all accounts I've read, hella good dude. And, there's that separation because, let's be honest, he was polarizing at first, and, he went the other way before he got too popular. So that point done. By the way, Jessie, keep fighting. We love you.
Yes. Send her your support, boys and girls. It's well worth it, because she is fighting and she's being very brave, and we support you 100%.
She's a fucking badass.
Yes, she is.
I try to
respect.
the F words on this show, but for her, she deserves it.
Yeah. The third burning question of the evening that we need to address: in a couple of weeks, as we mentioned, AEW is holding their second annual Winter is Coming event, and last year, none other than Sting debuted on Winter is Coming. So there's some things will be going down, but at that event, it was announced earlier this week that Bryan Danielson will get his title shot versus Hangman Adam Page. So, simple question, gentlemen: who wins?
Isaac.
I feel like I'm going a lot early this time. That's okay. Look, no. I'm joking. Okay. No, here, it's gonna be Hangman, and I say Hangman because he's got to establish himself as a world champion and against top tier guys, and he beat the top guy, which was, thank you.
Wow. Okay. The fact that I said Cody couldn't win the WWE championship now has been trumped by the fact that
Hey, you're off the hook, sir.
Omega.
Look, I'm having one of those days. Let's
Thank
not go.
God RJ's not
And
here.
actually, Kenny just called into the show, Isaac, and said, "Wow, I'm off TV for 3 weeks, and you're already like forgetting about me. Oh no,
This
whatever
Adam
shall we
Cole
do?"
baby is coming in, and boom. Anyway, so he's got to establish himself. He's got to get some big name wins. He's got to get some wins against some top tier guys, some guys that are going to they're going to establish him as a champion because he took it off of Kenny. And it's way too early. Brian Danielson, Daniel Bryan, whatever we want to call him, we all know who he is.
Call him
Is
by his
one,
name.
okay, anyway, moving on.
Brian Danielson.
Anyway, moving on. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and just let's go ahead and just start referring to Cody as Stardust again, okay?
Don't worry, I'm getting there. Anyway.
Rusev Machka.
Look, okay, here's the point. Brian has got to establish him as a legitimate champion. He's got to have at least a 3 month to 6 month reign with that belt and make sure that he looks good doing it. And there's sometimes where you got to sit here and you have to make the other guy look fantastic. And this is the time where you sit there and say, I'm gonna make him look great. That's what you're gonna have to do. He doesn't drop the title. That's it. Patrick, what you got?
I 100% agree with that. I think Hangman wins for those exact same reasons you just mentioned, and one more. They're telegraphing this. You can see this coming a mile away. Why? Because Brian Danielson is beating the crap out of Dark Order members left and right. He beat up Alan Angels this week. He beat up Colt Cabana the week before. He beat up, I can't remember who it was in week 1.
Evil Uno.
Oh, it was Evil Uno. You're right. And it's going to be John Silver next week. It makes sense for John Silver because John Silver's from Long Island, just like Alan Angels was from Atlanta, which is where they were on Wednesday. Makes perfect freaking sense to do that. You build a heel up by having him beat up the champ's buddies, and then champ comes in for vengeance at the big show, and then the bad guy gets his comeuppance. It's heel and face storytelling 101. Bad guy beats up everybody, and then good guy comes in and kicks his ass, just like the Karate Kid. I mean, kind of like the Karate Kid, because what should have happened was the bad guy, Daniel LaRusso, beat up all of Johnny Lawrence's friends, and then Johnny should have whooped his ass at the end, but the directors thought it was, give it to the other guy, give it to the kid from New York because, we want to make him look like he's the nice guy. No, he's not. Go back and look at the movie. Daniel LaRusso was an asshole. I mean, seriously, go back and look at the movie. They paint, everything that he did was kind of an ass move, but they paint it like, oh, he's the plucky guy that, he's just getting back at the bullies. No, Daniel LaRusso was just as big of a bully as Johnny Lawrence.
Probably been 30 years since I've seen The Karate Kid. I should go back and watch it.
Now you're seeing that Cobra Kai. They're both assholes. Hey.
I mean, Hangman retaining is the right move, but I'm interested in how he retains. This is not going to be a 6 or 7 minute. I think it's going to be a war.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to go over 20, maybe even a half an hour. And
Absolutely.
Hangman's going to have to earn it. It won't be. What did you say, Patrick?
It's a Brian Danielson match. It better go 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's going to be a war. Brian Danielson is going to make Hangman earn every inch of real estate that he gets. As a quick sidebar, I want more Alan Angels on television because that guy, I messaged out to everybody, Alan Angels is the most talented member of the Dark Order, I think, in the ring, bar none. At me if you want. Yeah, you can argue about some other people, but the match against Omega back in the end of the summer was freaking awesome. So file away Alan Five Angels in that sneaky good category.
Sneaky good, yeah. I'll disagree with you. He's the most talented in the Dark Order. I think that's John Silver, but Alan Angel, watching that match with Danielson on Wednesday, I'm like, holy crap. Like, this dude can go. And to think, especially when you're watching Being the Elite, that was the guy that everybody just kind of picked on, and he was the cannon fodder for everybody else.
Yeah.
So the fact that, one, they let him take his mask off, and two, he had that match with Danielson. Dang. So I think we're on to something with Alan Angels. You know who else I think we're on to something with in terms of the Dark Order? Preston Vance.
Yeah.
That kid's a stud.
I mean, to be honestly, all of them in their own way are making massive strides, and it's clear that the brain trust in AEW sees big things in their future. Even if, I can't believe I'm saying this, but even if Dark Order stops being a thing, and they have a character change or something like that, they could all break off and be legitimate singles stars, tag team stars, women's division stars, what have you.
Right.
However they choose to present them going forward.
Right.
So what we're going to do now, boys and girls, we're going to wrap up the show today by getting a little elegiac. There's a word.
Nice. It means to give someone a eulogy, by the way.
Pardon me?
It means to give someone a eulogy, by the way.
Yeah. It's been brought to our attention at Wrestling with Egos that the NXT that we have come to know and love is pretty much no more. Anytime you hit the splatter paint and you got the big vibrant colors, guys, and the 1987 singlets and the comedy skits and and then you call it 2.0 and aren't we hip and aren't we cool? No, you're not. Nothing was wrong with NXT and y'all went and messed around with it. Now look what you did. Now you got the Wrestling with Egos boys getting all elegiac on you, and when I trot out words like that, it's pretty serious.
Yep. So this was the part of the show that I contributed. Brian and Isaac contributed the other parts. So this show is 3/4 them, and I'm fine with that this week. Because I got to be honest, this has been a kick-ass show. I brought this up because you got to look at NXT and what we have right now with NXT 2.0 and what we potentially are about to lose. Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano. Rumor has it neither one have signed long-term deals. Johnny Gargano signed a 1-week extension just to be able to make it to War Games this week. And by the way, I'd like to point out that is NXT War Games, not NXT TakeOver War Games. They've ditched the TakeOver name. Yet another reason that the NXT that we knew and loved is dead. This might be a little bit of a rant mode on, but we're going to keep this one low key because this one does bother me. And it bothers me for personal reasons. This was NXT was AEW before AEW was AEW. It was the alternative. It was where all the wrestlers that could work their asses off went, and they worked their asses off. The NXT made us all forget that we hated Triple H. Triple H, Paul Levesque became a god to all of us because he created NXT and he gave us guys like Balor, Gargano, Ciampa, Nakamura, Joe, Bobby Roode, the list, Aleister Black. I'm going to stop there because I can keep going. But all those guys, I mean, look at how many guys in AEW are former NXT guys. I mean, holy crap. AEW's roster is full of NXT rejects. And rejects, not because they were cut from NXT, because they were cut from the main roster after they got called up, because Vince doesn't know what to do with them. NXT died a slow and painful death because of how good it was and how good Vince didn't want it to be. NXT, and I will tell you the exact moment that NXT was put on life support. Well, I'm sorry, that the contract was put out on NXT's life. Survivor Series a couple of years ago. Remember when everybody on the main roster got stuck overseas because of that volcano erupting, and they didn't have enough people to pull off a show for Raw or SmackDown. So what did they do? NXT Invasion. We get to Survivor Series, and that particular year it's Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, and NXT whooped the shit out of everybody. I can't tell you how many NXT champions won in matches against Raw and SmackDown champions. Roderick Strong, if I'm not mistaken, beat AJ Styles and Nakamura. If I'm not
right.
Rhea Ripley got a pin on Charlotte while Charlotte was trying to make Shayna Baszler tap, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm gonna have to go back and cue that up and see how that.
We'll have to look into that,
whole
boys and
angle
girls.
was pretty cool.
I could have sworn that Rhea slid in and kind of crucifixed Charlotte while Charlotte was arcing up for the figure eight. And she got the pin that way. But regardless, NXT showed out, to use an Isaac-ism on that in that particular night. After that, because Vince's playthings got embarrassed because there's a much better show that his son-in-law is putting together that's supposed to be the developmental show. So NXT had to know its place. And because of that, this is the personal part. I took Brian to his first live wrestling show at the Agora Theater in Cleveland, and it was NXT. I took my wife to her first live wrestling show. It was at the Agora Theater. It was NXT. I've been to 2 shows with Brian. I've been to 2 shows with my wife. Guess what? Best shows I've ever been to. And I've been to a lot of them. I've been to pay-per-views. I've been to Raws. I've been to SmackDowns. I've been to a WWE and an ECW pay-per-view. I've been to Nitro. I've been to Thunder. I've been to Nitro and Thunder during the NWO. And those 4 shows at the Agora kicked the hell out of anything I've ever seen. Sting! During the whole NWO thing and before he challenged Hogan at Starrcade that year, the Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center isn't big. He could not come down from the rafters. He walked his ass through the crowd like the freaking Shield did and literally walked. He was one section away that way from me. I saw it. I freaked out because Sting's my guy. Always has been, always will be. And guess what? That could not touch the sheer volume and intensity and love of wrestling that I felt those 4 nights. You know, the singing of the sing-alongs of Nakamura's theme song and Bobby Roode's theme song. Seeing stars emerge that, were just now breaking into NXT, and we got to see them very up close and personal for the first times. I remember Brian and I specifically got a "Nikki's Gonna Kill You" chant during.
I wrote it down. I just wrote it down because I've been writing down.
Do you remember who Nikki Cross faced?
Yes, I do.
Who?
It was Lacey Evans.
Ding.
In her embryonic stages before she had fleshed her character out yet, and she was just, it was just a generic "I'm the sassy Southern belle," and there wasn't much to it beyond that.
Greener than goose shit.
Yeah. So she comes out, and then Nikki comes out, and all I had to do was I looked over at Patrick, and I'm like, because they were circling up or they were squaring up or something like that, and Lacey's trying to do the stuff with the gloves, and Nikki's just got this possessed look on her face, and I looked at Patrick, and I'm like, I just pointed at the ring, and then we started going, Nikki's gonna kill you. And within 30 seconds, the entire Agora.
30 seconds, I think, is being generous. I think
Yeah.
it took a lot less time than that.
Yeah, it was probably like 10 seconds. We had the whole building chanting it.
And Brian and I are just looking at each other, just like,
Check that off your bingo card.
yep, pretty much. It was Brian, myself, and a former coworker of ours, who we've used his music on the show. Our good buddy Ace 500. When we all would work together, we all had this line that we would always do. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
And that was kind of one of those deals. But getting back to seeing what NXT is turning into, it sucks. It sucks. I mean, I never thought I would say this because I like him in Impact Wrestling, just like Monty Brown. I didn't get him. The former Eli Drake, also now known as L.A. Knight, never got him. But I find myself cheering for him now because he's in the War Games match with Ciampa, Gargano, and Pete freaking Dunne. By the way, I love all three of those guys. But I'm just like, wow, I never really noticed that LA Knight could cut a promo against a box of rocks and get the box over. Holy crap. And then you've got Carmelo Hayes, some British dude whose name I don't know, Braun Breaker, and Tony D'Angelo. Yeah, the Italian Goomba. And I'm just like, what? Like, okay, so we've got a Steiner, a guy. We've got a Steiner, a black dude who's like Mello, don't miss. By the way, the other Carmelo that may or may not shoot his shot misses a lot. Look at Isaac, no sin, and you know, and the British version of Sean Mooney, who there's a Bobby the Brain Heenan reference for you. It's just like, okay, so this is our future. This is what we have to look at. You know, in our women's division, our future old uber babyface is a watered down version of Darby Allin. Cora Jade skateboards her ass to the ring. I like that better the first time I saw it when it was Darby Allin. Your NXT champion is Mandy Rose. That's a far cry from Io, Raquel, Rhea. I can keep going. Every one of the horsewomen not named Becky Lynch. I mean, and now we get this.
Asuka.
Oh yeah, God, okay, yeah. How can we forget Asuka? But anyway, I wanted to give that rant mode. Thank you guys for letting me do that. But the point I wanted to make was now that we are giving up on our dream of NXT being what it used to be, and we are no longer hanging on to the glory days of NXT. Let's have one last hurrah. And I ask you, gentlemen, what are some of your favorite NXT memories of all time? Brian, they cannot involve us at a wrestling show. Something that was actually on TV.
I'll put a check next to that one since it's already been discussed because that's on my list.
What the Nikki's gonna kill you chant?
Yes, I was going to go personal too. I'll start at the top. William Regal's stewardship of NXT in general for me. I mean, William Regal is the perfect example now of an authority figure that you respect and that is not to be messed around with and still gets his point across.
I wouldn't screw with that old man. Jesus Christ.
And
you can wrestle?
Yeah, and this time of year, you get to hear him say, War Games.
War Games. Oh, my God. Yeah, but not this year. No. We got Braun Breaker saying that.
Yeah, it won't be the same. But I think he's not on TV all the time, but when he does come out.
Hang on, real quick. Let me rewind for just a second. We can't even call this guy a fucking Steiner. That's how much NXT sucked. We can't go. He's Rick Steiner's kid. He's Scott Steiner's nephew. We can't even go there.
They did go there. They went there with the big bad booty nephew. That's the best they can go with.
And the puppy faced gremlin. They did that. Oh, and he also did a, check the math promo about, so and so has a 33.33% chance of winning. They make these little references, but before he debuted, he was going to be Rex Steiner. And then just before he makes his debut, he's Braun Breaker. I'm like, God, that's a horrible name. That's like up there with Thurman Sparky Plug. I mean, that is up there with you renaming Chavo Guerrero Kerwin White. Here's another one. I don't like the wrestler because I think he's boring, and I think the name's even worse. That's like naming the guy Dolph Ziggler. Anyway, moving right along, Brian, back to your point. Go.
It just, William Regal is one of those authority figures that he's not on camera that often, but when he does show up, there's gravitas, there's, stakes involved, there's all of those things. And I have nothing but respect for the man. We've talked about him at length before on this show and in fact, you know what? Maybe after the calendar turns, first of the year, we might need to pull out the goat, talk about William Regal.
Possibly.
That could be a topic worth exploring.
That will be a tough discussion. Because to me that one's a little bit borderline. But we've had discussions like that before. We've had a Lex Luger one, which by the way you guys can check out in the archives. It was really damn good. Isaac, got a moment you want to share with us?
Okay, now I'm gonna go into when they went into great tag team wrestling, because we don't see great tag team wrestling in.
What if there's one match on my mind, and if you don't say it, you're off this show.
Hey, this is my time.
There's one match. Dude. Just go.
Thank you. Let me finish my point here. Great tag team wrestling. I want to sit here and talk about great. When you get called up, there is no tag team wrestling anymore. I want to talk about the emphasis on the women's division in great women's wrestling when they were down there. And I'm talking the Four Horsewomen. I'm talking about Paige. I'm talking about Asuka. I'm talking about all these women that got brought up. And, right now, you don't see them. Obviously, Bayley is injured. We know that. Becky is, doing her thing. Charlotte's being hyped up by her dad to be the next Roman Reigns and have that whole situation go left, which I totally disagree with. But it's the point of it is you had great people doing great matches, putting on better shows than the main roster, and you have more focus on pure wrestling that I love to see. Not what they were doing in the main roster. Is
there a moment that you want to talk about other than just contributions? Because I wanted to focus on these are the moments where I was just like, yeah. We talk about on the show all the time. This is why we love wrestling. What NXT moment made you just go, yep?
Bayley versus Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
That is why I love wrestling.
Yeah, that might be. And because, one point that you did make was all the women. We don't have a women's revolution. Women's wrestling isn't what it is, even in AEW now, without what happened in NXT. You cannot argue with me against that. You cannot say, oh, well, AEW would have put more of an emphasis on it because that's, because they're a better wrestling company. And you know what? They might have. But guess what? It wouldn't mean shit. It meant shit because Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte. Becky. I'm over here like, I'm forgetting one. What the hell?
And even Paige and Emma before that.
Thank you. You mentioned Emma. I mean, Emma always gets lost in the shuffle because, not only was Paige damn good in the very first NXT Women's Champion, Emma could freaking go. She just had a massive ass falling out with WWE, and that was a wrap. Somebody else you can't forget, because even though she didn't shine in NXT when they called her up, Alexa Bliss took over. Mm. And she turned out to be absolutely amazing. And there's so many women that you can talk about that are mega stars now because of NXT. Give you two more, and they're active now, and they're huge now. Rhea, Bianca. Asuka's a different story for a different time. Asuka's the most terrifying woman I've ever seen.
You think you know what I'm about to say, but you don't. I bet if I gave you guys 10 guesses, you would not guess the match that I'm about to reference.
Finn Balor and Samoa Joe with Bayley as a referee.
Nope. No. Although that would be awesome. Book it, Vince. Oh, wait, you can't because you don't have that kind of vision.
That's
Take
cool.
over Dallas.
Sami and Nakamura?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that freaking match.
And you know what? I got to sell you out on that one. First time he watched it, guess what? He didn't. You know why? He's texting me during the match. What the hell am I looking at?
Just because, and this, I'm looking at my list of things that I've written down here. And so many of them are just NXT taking my wrestling worldview, which used to be like this, and turning it into this. Like, oh my God, wow, look at all this wrestling.
Hey, NXT for Brian Kriego was literally walking into Oz. Everything stopped being in sepia and became full-blown Technicolor.
Yeah, because, I mean, all of these people that I'm talking about, guys like Nakamura and Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa, the Undisputed Era, they opened up possibilities to me that I didn't know existed. Well, you know what, Brian? Before they came to NXT, they were in New Japan. Or before they came to NXT, they were in Ring of Honor. You should look up some of those matches. And then I go do that, and it's like, holy hell, bro. I mean, it's just, it's unfathomable to me.
You like that Finn Balor guy? You should see what he did in New Japan. You know that group Bullet Club that everybody's so in love with? He founded it. Wait, what?
Yep. That OGBC t-shirt isn't just a cute t-shirt. I mean, that's facts. That's verified blue check mark on Twitter facts kind of thing.
I'll point out one thing. Number one, he owns one. Number two, I bought it. just throwing that out there. Another
moment that I loved, and I'll get these in because I don't know how long I want to go on this, but
get them out of the way.
Finn Balor specifically, his cosplays that he would do.
The what?
The cosplays that Finn Balor would do, depending on what city he was in. He did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for TakeOver Dallas. He did the Jack the Ripper get up for when they were in London.
Oh, that was so freaking sweet.
Yes, awesome. And the crowd marked out every single time for them. And more importantly than that, the way he made that demon character look like a living, breathing organism with the way his throat and his neck and his chin were painted and stuff like that. And the little, inside, little writing that he would do and on his body and stuff like that. I mean, I'm here for it.
Great. Let me real quick. You mentioned Balor. I want a little note in there. Go back and watch. I think it was one of the first takeovers, but it was the Ascension versus Hideo Itami, now known as Kenta, and Finn Balor. And it was the first time we saw the demon.
First time he painted.
Listen to that audience react. That is organic and euphoric. Just like, oh my God, what just happened?
And then you have something like the heel run of Tommaso Ciampa where he didn't need entrance music.
Damn,
he just came out to a chorus of boos.
You
And that
took,
was all, and he had that sneer on his face the whole time. Like, yeah, I'm that man. Yeah, clutching Goldie. And then my last one that, because Isaac mentioned Bayley versus Sasha, take your pick. I prefer the Iron Man match, the 30-minute Iron Man match. Other people prefer the Takeover Brooklyn match. You can't go wrong with either one of them. But the last one to me is just this domination that Undisputed Era had.
God,
Because
yeah.
they debuted and attacked Drew after he won the NXT Championship, and they kind of served notice. And then you had the alliance with Roderick Strong, and that made them a foursome, made them a faction. They just became the cool heels. Was the Cole O'Reilly feud overwrought and drawn out a little bit too much? Yeah, probably. But I'll give them that. They told a great story, and this 2.0 version of NXT, in my opinion, has a hell of a long way to go to even lace up the original's boots, in my opinion.
So I'll piggyback off of a couple things you guys said, and then I'll throw in a few more moments of my own, because for two of my moments deal with things that you've said. Isaac, you talked about tag team wrestling and how much that meant in NXT. One of my favorite NXT matches, NXT Toronto, the first one, 2 out of 3 falls, DIY, and the Revival. One of the best matches I've ever seen. I will go back and watch that thing and go, yeah, that's good
Top guys doing top guy things.
Hell yes. That Ciampa turning on Gargano at NXT TakeOver Chicago, and just the shock and the silence you got from that. There's only one thing in wrestling in terms of that moment, was when Brock beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. Just that, oh my God, no kind of moment. Because that was something that nobody ever expected, was to see DIY break up like that. Stuff like, moments, those 2 moments right there. Because, Brian, you mentioned the heel run of Ciampa, which I will argue in terms of like the Mount Rushmore of NXT's heels, Kevin Owens and Tommaso Ciampa have to be 1 and 1A, because there were no bigger bastards in all of NXT than those guys. Samoa Joe at his best couldn't touch that. Bobby Roode at his best could not touch that. Adam Cole, as much as I love Adam Cole was too cool to be a bastard. Kevin Owens and Tommaso Ciampa were the epitome of masterclass heel. So much, in fact, if you go back on Peacock, they've got this really cool thing called the Ultimate Show. It's like Matt Kemp and Ryan Papalo and a couple other guys, and they always bring in a guest from somewhere in wrestling media. And there's this one they do, and they're creating the ultimate NXT takeover. And they brought in Gabby from Busted Open Radio for this one. The main event that they created was the ultimate face and the ultimate heel of NXT for the ultimate NXT championship. And it was Gargano and Kevin Owens.
Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah, no, seriously, go back and go find that on Peacock. There's like 5 of them. There's like a Royal Rumble. There's a couple other things, but the NXT takeover one is just so good, because you're looking at all of these performers just in their NXT careers, which is funny, because you look now like, okay, who are some of the best women from NXT? You would think all 4 of the horsewomen, but you look at the NXT careers of the horsewomen, and let's be honest, Becky ain't shit.
Yeah.
Becky ain't shit. The other memory that I will look at and go, yeah, that was cool, was NXT TakeOver New York, not Brooklyn, New York. When we should have gotten the culmination of Ciampa and Gargano, with Ciampa dropping the title to Johnny, but instead we got Ciampa and Adam Cole. I'm sorry, Gargano and Adam Cole. Gargano winning that title for so many fans was like your team winning the Super Bowl, or your team winning the World Series, or whatever sport you're really into. That was that moment where we were like, yes, we did it. And that was just one of those moments that just gets you in the feels.
Yes.
And I have one more. Of all these great matches that NXT put out, there's one that I will always look at and go, God bless America, that match was good. And I cannot remember what TakeOver it is. Of course, everything happens at TakeOver because TakeOvers were just appointment TV. NXT UK title. Tyler Bate dropping the title to Pete Dunne. Holy mother of God, what a match. I mean, you can look at all the other really awesome stuff they did. They brought in War Games. And, War Games junkie here. And I have loved every War Games that they have done. I'm going to watch this one begrudgingly because it's probably going to be the last time we ever see Johnny Gargano in an NXT ring. My prediction. We'll see him in AEW around, after the first of the year. Just a prediction. But all the War Games and the great rivalries that we've had, there's been so much good stuff. And NXT rekindled my love for wrestling. And it's not hard to look at the fact that NXT before the network, before WWE Network, was just on Hulu. And, it was an on-demand thing on Hulu that you saw every Wednesday that didn't have a whole lot of traction. Go back and look at it. Launch of the network, first ever, launch of the network, NXT Arrival, their very first special. And from that point started the resurgence of professional wrestling. Not so much sports entertainment, but professional wrestling. NXT made New Japan cool again. NXT is the reason we have AEW. NXT is the reason we're doing this show.
Yeah.
We always, we did that show not too long ago. The great timeline of wrestling. And how I mentioned, without the Horsemen, there's no NWO, there's no DX, there's no yada da 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 da. Without this, there's no this. Without NXT, wrestling sucks. Wrestling isn't wrestling now. We have WWE and that's it. Without NXT, we're bored. So
I can't believe I forgot to mention, hearing you bring up Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne made me think about Walter and Ilya from last year, and then Walter and Ilya from this year. Spoiler alert: when we convened to talk about match of the year, Walter versus Ilya from TakeOver 36 is, I'm going to be banging the drum for that one.
yeah,
for a lot of reasons. But I think the common thread is running through all of the moments and things that we're mentioning is it made us pay attention. It made us feel things. It made us have a take on stuff. It made us, this is why we love professional wrestling.
it made us care.
Yep.
Agree.
I mean, let's look at it from a different perspective, and this will be my last thing. And unless you guys have something, we'll wrap it up after this. Isaac, I'm going to ask you because we've discussed these things with Brian plenty of times.
Go.
From a sports perspective, one team you live and die with. You can't watch any other team for the rest of your life. You got to pick one. Who do you live and die with? Hey, just I'm not holding you to it. Just throw me out a team that you really give a damn about. The Browns?
Browns.
Okay. The Browns make you care. You choose the Browns because you're emotionally invested in that and you give a damn. You care.
Absolutely.
Same applies for NXT. We emotionally got invested in it, much like we do our favorite sports teams and our favorite TV shows. You know, we talk about winter is coming in 2 weeks. Game of Thrones reference, boys and girls. I was hardcore on that train. NXT,
Why I used to tell manager at Office Max on a Monday night, let's hurry it up. There's an all new episode of Castle on tonight. Let's go.
NXT made us love professional wrestling again.
Yes.
It reminded us of how it could be. And then it became what it was. And it was the beginning of our catchphrase on this show. Because when there was John Cena's and Sheamus, when there was John Cena and Sheamus, or Sheamus and Randy Orton the day after WrestleMania, and everybody's doing the wave all the way around the arena and not paying a damn bit of attention to that match, nobody cared. Fast forward a couple of years later, and we have NXT, and we care. So if we're not going to see any more of that ever again, at least we got what we got, because what we got gave us what we have.
And what we got was glorious.
Yeah. So
having, I forget his name, having the violinist play Shinsuke to the ring all the time, and having the choir.
Lee England Jr.
Yes, Lee England Jr. And then having the gospel choir playing Bobby Roode to the ring in Toronto.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was
the Scottish pipe band playing Drew McIntyre to the ring the one time in New York City.
Yeah, so many really cool entrances that you got with NXT. And here's another entrance from NXT that nobody even talks about anymore because he doesn't even use the same music. Baron Corbin's initial entrance, where they'd have the spotlight over him and he'd walk through those little spotlights, and as he touched one, it would turn red and then fade out, and he'd get to the next one, they would do the same thing. That entrance was badass. That entrance was pretty damn badass.
I got to bring up one more, because we like to give the people what they want, and then on a high note.
Don't make me drive to your house.
Don't be a lemon. Be a rosebud. Come on. You had fun every time Adam Rose came out. And look at all the stars he created unwittingly, too. Oh, shoot. There's headlights peeling out the driveway. He's coming. I'm coming.
Oh, my God.
Oh, he's gone, folks. Well.
No.
Great run here on Wrestling with Egos.
No. I went to go look for something. This is my shoe. Your house. I will see you in 30 minutes. I'm going to kick you in the nuts. So not
Seriously,
only
though, for comedic value at the time, it was funny. I know it didn't amount to anything, but NXT could deliver on the comedy too on occasion.
Yeah, they totally could. I mean, they gave us Adam Rose, they gave us No Way Jose.
And I only bring that up because I've been seeing that picture making the rounds of look at all these rosebuds who became more famous than Adam Rose did. And I counted about 15 people in that picture who were more consequential in the long run.
All right, let's list some of them real quick. Alexa, Braun Strowman, Becky Lynch, Kalisto was one. Help me out. There was somebody else that
Simon Gotch was in the picture, like the vaudevillains were in the picture.
Yeah. There was another woman that ended up being like, holy crap, she was a rosebud. I can't remember.
I have to pull the picture up again, but
Yeah,
I'm not going to
yeah.
do that right now. But man, I mean, it just further illustrates our point, folks, that there's a lot of great stuff buried in the archives of NXT that you really should go back and dig up.
You know what? I do got one thing I've got to point out. And this will be the last thing. Along that timeline thing. Without Blank, there is no Blank. Without the Adam Rose entrance, which became the real very first NXT sing-along, we don't have Nakamura.
True.
And without Nakamura, we don't have Judas in AEW.
Also true.
Also true.
Thank you, Adam. God, you were freaking terrible. But thank
your
you.
contributions have been recognized, and we applaud you, sir.
Your contributions have been recognized. You had one thing. Your entrance was metaphorically speaking, it was that thing you do. Great movie, by the way. But Adam Rose was the Oneaters. He had that one hit.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the reference, if you've seen the movie, then you get the reference. If you haven't seen the movie, that's your homework for this week. That thing you do, directed by Tom Hanks. Amazing movie. You're missing out if you don't watch it.
Yeah, with my old college. Where's yours? Very PA.
Oh, that's right. Son of a gun. I forgot about that. But yeah, seriously, Brian, you mentioned Adam Rose on this show. I'm gonna have to. I'll see you in half an hour. I'm gonna slap the crap out of you, and I'm bringing the phone. I'm bringing the phone so I can record it, and it'll be just like that one time that Rick James had that conversation with Charlie Murphy. What do the five fingers say to the face?
Oh well.
Oh my God.
Yeah. God bless America. This has been a good show.
That's enough.
Darkness. Charlie Murphy.
You guys are gonna love this. You guys are gonna all love this. We did bring it tonight, guys. We did bring it. We gotta say that. So he's about to go over his house. I'm gonna sit here. They can fight it out. They can show me the video later. You guys all can laugh. I'll be laughing.
YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna post our very own Brawl for All on the channel. Except our Brawl for All will be entertaining. And Bart Gunn will win.
Is that a cast iron skillet? Yeah, I think it is.
So, complete sidebar, has nothing to do with NXT. I remember watching an ECW show. It was one of like the syndicated shows, either pre-pay-per-view ECW or early pay-per-view ECW. It was obviously like the gangsters, New Jack and Mustafa would bring trash cans full of crap to use during the match. And New Jack hit, I want to say it was John Cronus from the Eliminators, over the head with an 8-bit Nintendo. And Joey Styles on commentary remarks, well, now you're playing with power.
That is a great place to end it for today.
No.
I do not remember what happened the rest of that entire show because I couldn't breathe. I was laughing. That was like one of the best lines I have ever heard in wrestling. The only things that could top that might be Bobby the Brain Heenan. How long have you been married, sir? 15 years. Do you realize that if you would have killed her on your honeymoon, you'd be out of jail by now? One of these days, I propose a different GOAT discussion. And it's not like one specific person. You know how we decided we were going to do like the greatest women's wrestler ever? when we were having that, where we had that discussion with me talking about Trish as being the GOAT, and we were talking about like, the greatest wrestling T-shirt. Bobby Heenan versus Paul Heyman.
Oh boy.
Because let's be honest, if you're going to discuss the greatest manager of all time, there's only two answers: Heyman or Heenan.
Well, there is a third. If you're willing to go there with me.
Brian, I took both my shoes off. I will put this sumbitch back on.
Because you can't have a discussion of the greatest wrestling managers of all time and leave out
Choose your words wisely.
Armando Alejandro Estrada.
Oh my God!
He's grabbing the car keys, folks.
Oh,
Wallet, keys.
What is this? A three strikes you're out deal? You turn the light off. Oh. I'm fine as long as he doesn't mount this in his car as he's driving on the freeway and narrating it. I think I'm good.
oh my God, that's funny.